Myths of Scandinavia. From Odin to Ragnarök. When the first sparks of campfires illuminated the night skies of the northern lands, people began to tell stories. These tales of gods, heroes, and the great end of the world became a bridge between humanity and the mysterious universe. Did you know that Norse myths, born in such a harsh climate, not only explain the forces of nature but also delve into the deepest human fears? Immerse yourself in this world where Odin walks among mortals, and Ragnarök looms as a shadow over all existence. Chapter 1. The Birth of Worlds. Norse myths begin in the vast emptiness of Ginnunga Gap, a gaping void where neither land nor sky existed, only the extremes of fire and ice. To the south lay Muspelheim, a realm of unrelenting heat, its rivers of molten lava guarded by the fire giant Surtur. To the north stretched Niflheim, a frozen wasteland of perpetual frost, with icy rivers and poisonous mists seeping from its wells. When the warmth of Muspelheim met the cold of Niflheim in the void, the sparks and frost mingled, giving rise to Ymir, the primordial being, and the cosmic cow Audhumla, whose milk sustained him. Ymir was no ordinary creature but a Jotun, a giant whose body was both a symbol of creation and chaos. From his sweat, new giants sprang forth, continuing the cycle of life. Audhumla, meanwhile, licked the salty ice of Niflheim, revealing the first god, Buri, the ancestor of Odin and his brothers. These early beings embodied the raw power and untamed nature of creation itself. The tale takes a dramatic turn when Odin, Vili, and Ve, the first of the Aesir gods, decided to overthrow Ymir. In an epic battle, they slew the giant, and his colossal body became the raw material for the universe. Imagine the scene. His flesh transformed into vast continents, his blood flooding the void to form oceans, and his bones jutting skyward as mighty mountain ranges. His hair became forests, and his brains, scattered by the gods, turned into clouds. Finally, his immense skull was lifted high above the forming world, creating the dome of the sky, held up by four dwarves named Nori, Suri, Ostri, and Vestri, representing the cardinal directions. But a world of land, sea, and sky was incomplete without life. One day, while walking along a newly formed shore, Odin and his brothers found two trees, strong yet lifeless. From these trunks, they crafted the first humans, Ask, the man, and Embla, the woman. To their forms, Odin gave breath, Vili granted will and intelligence, and Ve bestowed emotions and senses. This divine act set humanity apart, giving them a place in the vast tapestry of existence woven by the Norns, the goddesses of fate. Interestingly, the Norse myths share echoes with other creation stories across cultures. Like the biblical tale of Adam and Eve, Ask and Embla emerged from nature, shaped by higher powers and given life. The concept of a world born from chaos, found in Greek, Mesopotamian, and even Hindu myths, suggests a deep, universal yearning to explain the origins of life. Did ancient peoples exchange these ideas during their migrations and encounters? Or do these stories arise independently, reflecting shared human curiosity and wonder? In the Norse cosmos, the world of humans, Midgard, was but one of 9 realms connected by the great ash tree Yggdrasil. Its branches stretched to the heavens, and its roots delved into the darkest depths, anchoring the universe. From its roots sprang the well of Urd, a source of wisdom guarded by the Norns, who etched the fate of gods and mortals alike into its waters. This cosmic tree, like Ginnunga Gap before it, symbolizes both the fragility and interconnectedness of existence. Thus begins the saga of the Norse world, a realm forged from extremes, teeming with gods, giants, and men, all bound together by fate, creation, and the eternal cycles of destruction and rebirth. Chapter 2. The Golden Age of Asgard. The pinnacle of the gods' creation was Asgard, a realm of unmatched splendor and divine purpose, perched high above the mortal world and connected to it by the shimmering rainbow bridge, Bifrost. Here, the Aesir, the mightiest of gods, ruled over fate and the forces of nature. Asgard was a place of towering halls and golden mead, where Odin, Thor, Freya, and Loki shared their triumphs and trials. It symbolized order, prosperity, and the gods' unmatched power, yet beneath its shining exterior lay the seeds of inevitable chaos. At the heart of Asgard stood Valhalla, Odin's great hall, with its roof of golden shields and endless feasts for fallen warriors. Imagine its cavernous interiors, alive with the echoes of battle songs and the clinking of drinking horns, as the bravest souls prepared for Ragnarök, the fateful end of the world. Odin, the Allfather, presided over it all with an ever-watchful eye, though he famously had only one, having sacrificed the other for wisdom. He traded his sight for a sip from the well of Mimir, a draught that granted unparalleled knowledge of the cosmos, and endured unimaginable pain hanging from the branches of Yggdrasil, the world tree, to unlock the secrets of the runes. Did you know that Odin's self-sacrifice on Yggdrasil is often interpreted as a symbol of the relentless pursuit of enlightenment? The runes he discovered became the foundation of Norse writing, magic, and divination, imbuing even ordinary carvings with a sense of the divine. In many ways, Odin's quest mirrored humanity's own desire to transcend limitations and seek deeper truths. Yet, despite Asgard's glory, it was far from a place of perfect harmony. Loki, the god of mischief, wove chaos into the fabric of divine order. With his cunning mind and sharp tongue, Loki was both a disruptor and an innovator, often causing trouble that ultimately led to greater outcomes. One of the most bizarre tales recounts how he transformed himself into a mare to distract a giant who was building a wall around Asgard. Loki's plan worked, but in the process, he became pregnant and later gave birth to Sleipnir, Odin's eight-legged horse. Sleipnir, faster than the wind and capable of traveling between worlds, became one of the most iconic symbols of Norse mythology, embodying the idea that even chaos could bring forth greatness. This paradox, chaos and order coexisting, was a defining feature of Asgard and the gods themselves. Thor, with his thunderous hammer Mjolnir, was a protector of both gods and mortals, yet his quick temper often brought unintended consequences. Freya, goddess of love and fertility, was also a fearsome warrior who rode into battle on a chariot pulled by cats. Even Heimdall, the vigilant guardian of Bifrost, possessed the wisdom to hear grass grow but lived with the knowledge that he would one day fall in Ragnarök. Asgard was not only a divine fortress but also a stage where the gods' triumphs and flaws played out. It was a reflection of the Norse view of life, one where strength, wisdom, and cunning were celebrated, but imperfection and inevitable endings were embraced as part of the grand design. In this golden age, the gods were at their most vibrant, their stories filled with wonder, humor, and tragedy, offering glimpses into the human condition through the lens of the divine. Even as Asgard stood as a beacon of power, the shadow of destiny loomed over it, a reminder that no greatness is eternal. The myths of this era endure, inspiring awe and curiosity, their lessons as profound now as they were in the times when mortals whispered of the gods beneath the northern lights. Chapter 3. Heroes of Midgard. The world of humans, Midgard, was always under the watchful protection of the Aesir, yet it was humans themselves who wove the richest tapestries of legend. Among these stories, few shine brighter than the saga of Sigurd, the Dragon Slayer. Armed with the magical sword Gram, a gift forged by the gods and dwarves, Sigurd faced the fearsome dragon Fafnir, whose hoarded gold gleamed like fire in the darkness. But it was not brute strength alone that won the day. Sigurd dug a pit and waited, striking from below as the dragon slithered above. From Fafnir's blood, he gained wisdom, and the tales say he could even understand the language of birds, who warned him of treachery yet to come. Such sagas were more than mere stories, they were reflections of the Viking soul. They celebrated values of courage, loyalty, and cunning, qualities essential for survival in the harsh landscapes of Scandinavia. While dragons may not have roamed the earth, elements of these legends often intertwined with real life, blurring the lines between myth and reality. For example, the Berserkers, legendary Norse warriors, are believed to have inspired tales of otherworldly strength. Archaeological finds and written accounts describe them as fearsome figures who charged into battle in a trance-like fury, impervious to pain and fear. The word berserk itself comes from the Old Norse berserker, meaning bear shirt or bear shirt, suggesting that they either wore animal pelts, such as those of bears or wolves, or fought with such ferocity that armor was deemed unnecessary. Did you know that some historians speculate their battle frenzy was induced by consuming hallucinogenic plants or mushrooms? Whether true or not, these warriors became symbols of unrelenting power, embodying the fury of Thor himself. Beyond warriors, the sagas immortalized other heroic archetypes. Leaders like Ragnar Lothbrok, whose cunning and bravery brought him victories in both battle and legend. Ragnar, draped in his peculiar hairy breeches, possibly made of wolfskin, was said to have braved a pit of venomous serpents, his death a tragic yet noble end befitting a Viking hero. But heroes did not only live in tales of war. Figures like Egil Skallagrimsson, a poet and warrior, balanced ferocity with artistry. In one saga, Egil saved his own life by composing a poetic masterpiece in honor of King Eric Bloodaxe, proving that the sharpness of one's tongue could be as mighty as a sword. Even the everyday lives of Viking heroes found their echoes in these stories. Farmers turned adventurers, sailors who braved uncharted seas, and blacksmiths who forged weapons with legendary craftsmanship became larger-than-life figures in the collective memory of the Norse. Did you know that Viking swords were often given names, much like Gram or Gingnir, Odin's spear? To the Norse, a weapon was more than a tool. It was a companion, imbued with spirit and destiny. As the sagas were told around roaring hearthfires, the heroes of Midgard came alive in the flicker of flames. They reminded listeners not only of the Aesir's protection but of humanity's own strength, wit, and ability to carve their names into the annals of history. Chapter 4. Loki and his offspring. Loki, the enigmatic trickster of Norse mythology, embodies both chaos and cunning. His role as both ally and adversary to the gods makes him a figure of profound complexity, but it is through his children that his true legacy unfolds. Each of Loki's offspring symbolizes an aspect of the cosmic disorder that loomed over the ordered world of the Aesir. Fenrir, the mighty wolf, was born with a fate intertwined with destruction. From the moment of his birth, the gods feared him, for it was prophesied that he would one day devour Odin himself during Ragnarök. As Fenrir grew, his size and strength became unparalleled, and the gods knew they could not leave him unchecked. To restrain him, they sought the aid of the dwarves, master craftsmen of magical artifacts. The result was Gleipnir, a chain unlike any other. It was forged from 6 impossible things: the sound of a cat's footsteps, the beard of a woman, the roots of mountains, the sinews of a bear, the breath of fish, and the spittle of birds. Gleipnir was as slender as a silk ribbon yet unbreakable. The gods lured Fenrir into testing his strength against the chain, but the wolf, sensing treachery, demanded that one of the gods place their hand in his mouth as a gesture of trust. It was Tyr, the brave god of war and justice, who sacrificed his hand to secure Fenrir's binding. Even bound, Fenrir's howls shook the 9 realms, a constant reminder that his eventual escape was inevitable. Loki's other children were no less significant. Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, was cast into the ocean encircling the world. There he grew so large that he could grasp his own tail, forming a living boundary for the human realm. The serpent's presence was a symbol of the tenuous balance between order and chaos. Thor, the thunder god, became Jormungandr's eternal rival, their fateful battle foretold to end in mutual destruction during Ragnarök. Hel, Loki's daughter, was given dominion over the realm of the dead. Her appearance, half-beautiful woman, half-rotting corpse, reflected her dual nature as both guardian and a stark reminder of mortality. Those who died of sickness or old age found their final resting place in her cold, shadowy domain, far removed from the glory of Valhalla. Despite her grim role, Hel was not entirely malevolent. She ruled with a stern but impartial hand, embodying the inevitability of death for all living beings. Loki's offspring encapsulate the inescapable truths of Norse mythology: the fragility of order, the certainty of fate, and the ever-present specter of chaos. The parallels to other mythologies, such as the doomed attempts to outwit prophecy in Greek tales like that of Oedipus, highlight a universal human fascination with the struggle against destiny. In Norse belief, this struggle was not one to be won but to be faced with courage. Loki's children remind us that even the gods, with all their might, could not halt the tides of fate. Fenrir's chains would one day break, Jormungandr would rise from the ocean depths, and Hel's realm would swell with the dead as Ragnarök unfolded. Yet, even in the face of such inevitability, the gods continued their battle, an eternal defiance that echoes through the sagas and speaks to the resilience of the human spirit. Chapter 5. The Winter Night of the Gods. The myths of Ragnarök, the Norse end of the world, are steeped in both terror and bittersweet beauty. This cataclysmic saga of cosmic annihilation begins with the ominous Fimbul winter, a relentless, 3-year winter devoid of sunlight. Imagine the biting cold that never relents, the skies darkened by unending storms, and the once thriving world reduced to a desolate wasteland of snow and ice. Crops fail, communities crumble, and humanity succumbs to despair, as the ominous winds of destiny howl across the 9 realms. But the Fimbul winter is only the beginning. The great wolf Fenrir, whose jaws are said to stretch wide enough to swallow the sun, breaks free of his unyielding chains. Meanwhile, Jormungandr, the colossal world serpent encircling Midgard, rises from the ocean depths, causing the seas to boil and the land to tremble. The gods prepare for their final stand, knowing their fate is sealed by prophecy. On the battlefield of Vigrid, chaos reigns supreme. Odin, the All-Father, confronts Fenrir, wielding Gingnir, his spear of unparalleled craftsmanship. Yet even the wisdom of Odin cannot prevent his doom. The ravenous Fenrir devours him, fulfilling the grim prophecy. Nearby, Thor faces his eternal nemesis, Jormungandr. Their clash is a spectacle of thunder and venom, shaking the cosmos itself. Though Thor delivers a mortal blow to the serpent, its deadly venom takes his life mere moments later. At the same time, Loki, the trickster god, stands against Heimdall, the ever-vigilant guardian of the Bifrost. Their duel is as much a battle of cunning as it is of strength, but in the end, they strike each other down, falling simultaneously to the blood-soaked ground. The flames of Surt, the fire giant, consume Asgard, and Yggdrasil, the great world tree, shudders under the weight of destruction as the 9 realms crumble into ash. And yet, even in the face of this devastating loss, there is hope. The myths speak of rebirth. The world rises anew from the waters, fresh and green once more. Baldur, the beloved god of light, returns from Hel's realm, heralding a new era. A handful of survivors, gods and humans alike, emerge to rebuild what was lost. Leif and Liftrazir, the last human pair, find refuge in Yggdrasil's branches and become the progenitors of a new humanity, ensuring that life endures. Did you know that Ragnarok's themes of destruction and renewal echo ideas found across the world? In Christianity, the apocalypse foretells the end of days, followed by the promise of a heavenly new world. Hinduism's concept of time follows a similar cyclical pattern, where the universe undergoes repeated cycles of destruction and rebirth. These parallels remind us that myths, though shaped by their unique cultures, often address universal questions about existence, mortality, and hope. The story of Ragnarök, with its haunting inevitability and glimmer of renewal, resonates deeply across time and space. It captures the Norse spirit, a people who embraced the harshness of life with courage, knowing that even in the darkest winters, the promise of spring endures. Chapter 6. The Legacy of Myths. Norse myths have had a tremendous influence on global culture, weaving their way through history and into the modern imagination. From the ancient sagas sung in smoky halls to the blockbuster movies of today, their vivid characters and epic tales continue to inspire. Odin, the Allfather, with his single, all-seeing eye, became the archetype of the wise and enigmatic ruler. Thor, with his hammer Mjolnir, thundered into the hearts of warriors as the embodiment of strength and courage. Loki, ever the trickster, captivates as the cunning antihero, whose mischief dances on the edge of chaos and creation. Interestingly, many symbols and ideas from Norse mythology have been preserved in the language we use daily. In English, the days of the week carry echoes of the ancient gods. Wednesday, derived from Woden's Day, honors Odin, known as Woden in Old English, while Thursday, or Thor's Day, is a nod to the thunderous protector of humanity. These linguistic traces serve as subtle reminders of a time when the gods walked among mortals in the minds of the Norse. The myths themselves are windows into the worldview of the ancient Scandinavians, revealing a people who faced a harsh, unpredictable world with resilience and imagination. They saw the cosmos as a vast, interconnected web, centered around Yggdrasil, the world tree, whose branches and roots stretched across realms both seen and unseen. The gods and their struggles mirrored the mortal experience, full of triumphs, betrayals, and the looming inevitability of fate. Did you know that the concept of Ragnarök, the prophesied end of the world in Norse mythology, was not just a tale of doom but also one of renewal? The fiery destruction of the realms was believed to pave the way for a new world to rise, green and fertile, where surviving gods and humans would begin anew. This cyclical view of destruction and rebirth speaks to the Norse understanding of life's impermanence and the promise of resilience. The legacy of these stories goes beyond literature and language. Their symbols are etched into the landscape of Scandinavia. Rune stones, carved with ancient inscriptions, often tell tales of heroes and commemorate the deeds of the departed, blurring the lines between history and legend. The intricate patterns of Viking art, from dragon-headed longships to knotwork jewelry, often incorporate elements of myth, celebrating the gods and their deeds. Even today, Norse myths inspire exploration and belief. From modern adaptations in literature and film to the enduring practices of asatru, a revival of Old Norse paganism, these tales remain alive. They are more than just stories. They are a testament to the hopes, fears, and aspirations of a people who dared to dream of worlds beyond their own. Perhaps, somewhere in the mists of time, Asgard still stands, its halls echoing with the laughter of gods and the clash of feasting cups. Thor's hammer may yet ring out in the distant storm, and Odin's watchful eye may still guide those who look to the skies for wisdom. For as long as we tell their stories, the magic of the Norse myths will endure, reminding us that the echoes of thunder and the whispers of the gods are never too far away. Thus concludes our journey into the world of Norse myths. But remember, every legend is just the beginning. Perhaps it is up to you to uncover a new facet of these stories? After all, myths live as long as they are told. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy exploring historical worlds, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more exciting stories.